Hello, this is Karen Johnson with another in our series of shows on the history of Proctors. This is part of a project by the Proctors Historical Committee, and today we're not so historical. We're more enjoying a modern adventure at Proctors, a skunk works, you might say. So it'll be fun for you to find out about this. It is June 16th, 2017, and I have with me individuals who've been involved with a program called
It Came from Schenectady.
Okay. So welcome everybody, and we're going to go around the table, and if you'd explain your role in the early days of this project, what you do at Proctors now or out in the world, and then we'll go from there. So do you want to start, Richard?
Oh, sure, if you like. Before we were on camera, we were discussing who came up with the idea first, and I think that question's absurd, actually. It was really four people who had a different view on exactly the same thing. We love movies, each in our own way. We could spend a half hour, each of us, talking about that. My father taught me about value-added cinema when he was a child. I know when I came to Proctors, we had Bob Warlock, who was here, who taught us about the history of value-added cinema at Proctors, with Frankenstein running down the aisles and prizes and games. And I think we all love that idea.
And who are you?
I'm Richard Lovrich. I'm the creative director of Proctors, and I'm very proud to be part of the original ICFS team.
Okay, Larry?
I'm Larry Mossy. I am a buddy of Proctors. If you look at the signs in the arcade, they'll say Larry's a buddy of Proctors somewhere, I think. But I had an ad agency a couple doors down when we got this idea going. Hung around a lot with these guys, and we used to, talk about doing things that were different and exciting. I came up with the whole idea, and they stole the idea.
That's very clear.
Yeah, no,
Thanks for not putting that in writing.
Richard was right. We were there. Who even remembers? I don't think there was one person that came up with the idea. I think we're all just hanging out and saying, "Hey, wouldn't it be cool if we could do some things that targeted special audiences?" Or we came up with the idea of the 24-hour marathon. I think was our first thing, and then went from there.
Okay, Larry.
And
Go ahead.
Instrumental was Paul.
Paul Kazee.
Well,
You are who?
I'm Paul Kazee, and I'm the film programmer here. And I didn't meet you until I think Richard came to me and said, we should have a meeting about doing some kind of film festival. So, although I had been doing film festivals before that, you guys came to me and said, hey, we want to do this thing. And I thought it was a great idea.
But you all, Paul, yeah, it's really important to say, Paul was one of the founders of the New York Asian Film Festival in New York City.
I'm still one of the founders.
Yeah, there you go. And that brought a tremendous depth of knowledge, and again, everyone brought something to the table, but Paul brought a really big piece.
And access to a lot of films.
That's right.
Yeah.
Access to a lot of films that no one wanted
Okay,
to see.
so
but
I was more important than the rest of you. Okay.
Okay, so Peter?
Right. I'm Peter Hughes. I'm the Director of Marketing Campaigns here at Proctors. I remember meeting Larry through Richard, who they'd worked together before, and they both said, hey, we'd really love to do something that was mostly around sci-fi. We wanted to do a sci-fi event. Right. And I remember I'd worked with Paul on a couple foreign film festivals that we tried to pull off here between programming and marketing, and those were a lot of fun. I said, well, if you guys are doing that, we got to get Paul. Then our meeting around, and it just gelled. I do remember the phone call. We consulted with some other film festival place. I don't know exactly who it was. In a long phone call, and he said, "You should do a 24-hour film festival," and that's when that gelled. About we should do that. And man, the operations department loved the idea that was going to happen. But I think that was the thing that made that go from just we should do something to there's a tangible thing to do. That, and then Larry's idea of the couches.
The sofas.
The sofas, which is the defining characteristic of what is, even in the building, in the calendar, I think, it is
Yeah.
the defining button between what is an ICFS event and what is not an ICFS event is, are we putting out the couches?
We went to the city missions.
That's right.
Salvation Armies. I think I donated one for my basement or something.
Which you took back.
Which I took back
Yeah.
at some point because I think Molly wanted it. But yeah, and it was this whole we're not, sitting in seats. We're spreading out, and we created an environment for the kind of people who would come to see those films,
Right.
and it's an unusual audience.
And the kind of people that would actually sit in those couches. I'm just kidding. They're actually quite clean. I'm Zeb Schmidt. I'm the station manager here at Open Stage Media. I started getting involved with the ICFS later, maybe a few years into it. Right? Zeb?
Yeah.
And
Freaky 518 Films and Let the Right One In.
Yes.
You submitted a film.
I did.
Yeah.
Holy crap. Because it's all coming back to me now. And then I also did a lot of extra content before the movies
Right.
and some of the TV spots as well.
And once you've seen one of Zeb's film compilations, you'll never look at him the same way again.
Thank you.
So how did it get its name?
Karen, I was just going to bring that up. Peter, it starts with Peter.
Okay.
We were really, I don't think we had a lot of great ideas. Peter
I remember we had
said-
two ideas. We had
Yeah.
two ideas, and one of them I think already existed. We did
Right.
not know what to call this. It could be the Proctors Sci-Fi Fest. Well, that's boring. And then, okay, it could be the Electric City Film Festival. Well, that turns out it already existed, and that's a common thing here in the city. It didn't quite cover what we wanted to do. And I remembered, because it was sitting on my shelf, the book. It said there was a book. It came from Schenectady. That would be great if we could call it that. But we could never call it that. I'm sure there are rights and all sorts of things, but it turns out no one had the thing to do that. So we did. I thought these guys weren't going to go for it because it was silly, but it turns out everyone liked it. And Richard, if I believe, was the one who said, you know what? Someone wrote that book. I'm going to call him. And you did. And he answered you.
Yes, he did. Yeah, he picked up the phone, and we were told by other science fiction folks in town that he was thorny and he'd kill it and he was unpleasant.
He being Barry Longyear.
But Barry Longyear, the author, we're not going to get into too much in the weeds, but he implied in the name of the book he certainly didn't own the name either. But that's neither here nor there. But it was on his cover, and I called him, and he said this: "I've been waiting for Schenectady to call."
We should probably mention what it came from Schenectady means.
Right.
That is, who's the author who wrote it? Used to be the
Harlan Ellison.
Harlan Ellison used to be the president of the science fiction fan club, Writers Guild, and he would be tired of people asking him, "Where do you get ideas? Where do creative ideas come from?" And him being an old thornery guy, would say, "Oh, they came from Schenectady. You put $5 in a post office box and down there, and they send you an idea, and that's where I get all my ideas from." So it became a really good name for a compilation of sci-fi things. But Barry didn't know that his once friend, now kind of pissed at him, other author, kind of owned that name. So, but they were friends, so that worked out
Now, he came here at one time.
twice.
Yeah. Larry came to our first festival, yes?
Yeah.
And it was a big deal in town. We had a lot of coverage, and he was charming. We showed his film Enemy Mine.
Which he hates.
Enemy Mine, great book. We love the movie, by the way. He does not.
He signed my copy of Enemy Mine with an A. So now the only thing he would do with it, because I hate that. I hate what they did with my movie. So he wrote a big A on it. So now it says Enema Mine across
Right.
the DVD. But given that, he asked, if you remember, can I do an introduction to this movie that I hate? And he
That's right.
roasted it before we did it. He talked about all the things that were wrong with it, and the audience loved him for it. And that became kind of a clue into the kind of things our audience wanted, which was, even if you don't like the movie, let's take it out.
Yeah. Too true.
So do you want to talk about, what was the first thing you did?
Do we have it here?
Yeah, it's right
Why
here.
don't you hold it up, Peter?
It's right here. This is the first poster we had.
I'll read them. Blade Runner, Forbidden Planet, Barbarella, A Boy and His Dog, Dreams with Sharp Teeth, Enemy Mine, which we've discussed, Tokyo Gore Police, Creature from the Black Lagoon 3D. Let's point to one of our first mistakes. This is never show a 3D, poorly made black and white movie 22 and a half hours into a 24-hour festival. People were angry.
Why are you hurting me?
We've learned a lot of lessons.
I don't know, I don't seem to ever learn.
Craziest memory. Can we go around the table? Craziest memory from the festivals.
I don't want to go
Big
there.
Let's start with Zach.
Craziest memory. If someone else has something, just go, because I'm thinking here what I can say now.
Okay, my craziest memory, I'll have it do with me, and that's when I skated with the roller derby girls, and I wanted a protective costume, so I actually called the police department for like a dog, suit, and they couldn't lend me anything. They didn't have anything. So the costumer thought they had something. They said, "We'll deliver it to you." What they delivered was an extremely obese lady suit with a blonde wig, and I put that on and rollerblades, and I went back, and I'm a okay rollerblader, and I went back and forth with the gals, and they were very, very nice, and the floors in there were much more polished than they are now, and I lost my balance, and I said, "Oh God," and one of the skaters stopped right in front of me, and she said, "You will not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain." And she hit me in the chest and knocked me over. So I landed, and I was very happy to have that suit on. It ended up actually being very protective. So.
I forgot that we had added roller derby girls
Oh,
at
yes.
one point as a regular feature.
We were so bored with roller derby girls that we turned it into roller derby girl musical
chairs. Right. Fun.
That was fun.
That was
That's when
great.
you get bored with roller derby
No, I
girls.
was inspired.
I have
They
two,
were great guests.
I have
They were
two
amazing.
craziest memories that come to top of mind. One is on that same night, because I believe it was John Waters' night, which was Pink Flamingos and Female Trouble. John Waters being someone who makes films that I felt the need to warn the audience. There's a disclaimer going, this is for adults only. And I warned the audience and anyone buying a ticket. What I did not remember to do was warn the volunteers. So there was one volunteer who did not know anything about the film. Sweet person, came in at the wrong part of that movie, and I had to explain the movie to her on why it was an important piece of cinema, not unlike she had just walked in on her parents.
I ran out in the hallway with you,
In your suit.
trying to think of clean words to describe what you'd just seen.
Right, and she was okay, it just was not what she was expecting. Other great memory was when, during our very first Godzilla festival. We've done Godzilla now for 8 years.
Talk about the format for that. For a
Richard's
second.
idea, by the way.
Richard's idea.
Brilliant idea.
Well, the idea part of that, though, is important. When we ran out of the, we found out that people were not as excited about the full 24 hours as we were, at least annually, anyhow. We decided that each of us would have a night of our own. So we would take the idea and just no questions asked. It's not going to be some big consensus thing. Everybody gets to do what they want. And my wife and I, we love to watch old Godzilla movies. It's a relaxing thing. It's a family thing. We did it with the kids. We still do it. We adore it. We've seen them all 20 times. And so I decided to give up my choice for that. And far be it for me to pick a family-friendly choice, but I did it anyhow. And luckily I think it was a good choice, because
Well, it's going on 8 years
it's
now.
a great tradition.
One of my favorite parts about ICFS ties into this part, which is the film didn't work. The projector did not work for the first 45 minutes of starting Godzilla.
Oh, yes.
I remember Zeb being upstairs
oh my God.
with our friend Joe Piro from Pastime Legends, and whoever the projectionist was, desperately trying to get this to work, and I had never thanked all of my improv training, public speaking skills. I went for 45 minutes,
Oh my God.
ran out of prizes, ran out of talking,
Yep.
if you can believe it, to just entertain people. And this one small boy, and he was about 8 years old at the time, dressed in a full Godzilla costume. And this Godzilla was his life, just kept screaming at the top of his lungs, "Shut up now! Shut up now! Make him stop talking!"
Yes.
So, but that boy was a friend of ours named Tommy.
That's right.
Tommy's family has been coming now to Godzilla 8 years in a row. Tommy's family considers this him and his brother, one of their things they do annually as a family. It's become part of their family tradition. Tommy now writes his own films, creates his own material. We showed one of his films. And this past year, Paul and I both got Christmas cards with pictures of the family. So that 45 minutes of me being yelled at did turn into something great for a kid who's now graduating from high school.
Yeah, it's
so
interesting. 8
it's
years.
amazing.
I
8
mean,
years.
when he first came, he was just a small boy.
He
Now
is
he's
taller
like
than
a
all of
grown
us.
kid.
He is Godzilla, right? And he's making his own material. So
People have came from Schenectady. Fans have gotten married, met at our
right.
events, and
Very
gotten
first
married
event.
there. Yep. Yeah.
And they come back and report it to you?
They come back to almost
yeah.
every single
Oh,
event.
yes, they do.
Yep. Yeah, we are important to them.
we, two good friends of ours, they go, "We got married. Congratulations! Did you know that we met at your very first event?"
They're
Yeah.
Subscribers.
They're
We did- we
subscribers
did
to both
a few-
theaters.
yeah,
They become
exactly.
patrons
Yep.
to the theater. Yeah, they're donors.
Yeah, I guess the craziest thing that I would be this thing here.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my
Who
God!
Killed Captain Alex? Just absolutely nutty film made with $17 or something in Uganda in the slums, and it's just incredibly entertaining. And we got a crowd here. We got a representative from Uganda to come and talk about the film and to auction off posters and stuff. I think you and I fought over one of them.
That's right.
Yeah.
Tell them about the posters. They're made on.
Paul's definition
That's
of
Mark.
entertaining may not.
For all audiences.
Oh, come on, and they define fun.
And we Skyped with the director and his
Yep.
family.
Yes, we did.
We woke him up at like 4 o'clock in the morning.
Why was that Skype to Uganda better than most of my
it was-
Skypes to New Jersey?
Yeah.
No sense. It was gorgeous looking.
It was amazing. It was like amazing. It was so
Yeah,
incredible.
that was a great night, and we will have them back.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Richard wore the what was it? The Ebola hunter.
Yeah,
suit?
I wore the Ebola hunter suit, and the helmet was made out of like a child's urinal or something, and it was not meant for a head to fit in it.
I took some
and it
pictures and
hurt,
we'll
it hurt
show
like
some pictures
crazy.
of it, yeah. I put it on. It was painful.
Very painful. Yes. Ah, memories.
Part of the fun of It Came From Schenectady events for me was how we weren't afraid to make fools of ourselves. And I think dressing up in costume, and I don't know, maybe Richard has had the most bizarre costumes. I think because he doesn't really care.
I'm doing it now.
The thing we were talking about before, where we played the birds.
Oh my
but
gosh.
kept it a secret
yes.
for my daughter Molly, because it was Halloween, which is also her birthday, and she's deathly afraid of birds. And we had the cake. Remember, we had a birthday cake. We all sang.
did a couple
Everybody in the
cakes.
audience sang "Happy Birthday" to her.
And everyone went along with it. 300 people in
Yep.
an audience, not a single one noticed we hadn't mentioned the actual name of the film for a half hour so we could fool one person.
Yeah, but I think one of my most, I don't know, what is this show rated? Because I don't know if I can share this.
It's questionable.
We did. You mentioned we did some events where each of us got to pick a film, and we got to introduce our own film. For my night, I picked The Boys in the Band.
Right.
Remember that?
Oh, great night with Hedwig.
Boys in the Band was. I love that film. It's a great movie. I saw it when it first came out, and it's about, for people who haven't seen it, it's about a party or a meeting of 7 or 8 gay men in a New York apartment, and what happens that night. Who wrote the play? It's her own play. It's like a Harold Pinter
Yeah, I
play or
think
something
so.
like that.
It's good.
But don't quote me on that. But so I got up and I was trying to wing an introduction to it, and I said this movie was a tremendous influence on me growing up, and it didn't occur to me till later that there's a couple of ways that you might take that. And I thought, well, whatever, And so, but as the movie ended and we were leaving, this guy kept pestering me. And he was my age. He was an older guy, and he's kind of heavy set. He's just like, hey, how you doing? Hey, I love your film choice. You want to go out for a drink? And I'm like, no. And then I realized why he was pestering. It was uncomfortable, but anyway, it stuck with me.
You've
I never
survived.
told anyone.
So
I did dress up as Jennifer Connelly for one of our
That's
films once, and that was pretty extreme.
That was for the Labyrinth sing-along. We had you dressed up as Jennifer Connelly, I dressed up as the dwarf, and Catherine Stevens, who's not at this table, who's the pioneer of one of our sing-along events, which have been great, I wish Catherine was here, because those were our best events, dressed up like David Bowie. And then later, after David Bowie died, we had David Bowie Tribute Night, when we were one of the first people to show Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars, and that was just cathartic. That was an incredible evening.
I think that speaks to the family essence of all this, right? We have created a kind of film family, and when I remember, because we said we had no room to show a Bowie film. Do you remember that? We didn't have quite the right fit date-wise.
Right.
And we said...
Luckily, he died.
But people simply expected that we would have it. And that's become, I think, one of the filters that we use to choose these events, is a sense of responsibility to our audience that it came from Schenectady should do this, even if the Madison has done it already and we don't have the perfect slot. And we had that was pretty much a full house. So prove it.
Peter, you wanted to talk about Toxic,
Yeah,
which
we
is
should-
an amazing poster, one of our best posters.
One of our best posters was the Toxic
that was
Avenger
fun to
poster. And
make.
if you notice, it's signed by Lloyd Kaufman,
Yeah.
who is the founder of Troma Films.
That was my
Who
Toxibama
came?
poster.
Who came?
Amazing.
Lloyd Kaufman, really famous guy. Maybe our most famous celebrity guest we've ever had.
Yes.
And he has reasonable rates, and he's known for being a cheapskate, and he's known for being thrifty. And he came and he introduced Toxic Avenger. He introduced Cannibal the Musical, which was the movie of the same guys who made South Park, who made Book of Mormon. And he had his own merchandising stand, of course, because he's so cheap. And
The lines were
lines were out the door.
Yeah.
And to his credit, he stayed and talked for 4 hours with every single person who wanted to know about how to make films, what to do. He even hired me to do something, which was amazing,
A real pro.
for free. And stayed, and he gave awards to Paul, and he gave awards to Joe Pirro, who's been a partner of ours, for their contributions to film, which I think means giving him money.
But also,
Cash in
Joe, I mean,
hand.
it should be
Cash in
said-
hand.
Should be said, Joe
At the
brought
airport or at the bus
professional
station or
gaming
something.
to our events. Sorry about that. Joe owns a gaming shop and brought group professional gaming to our events, and just classed up the whole.
And that was good.
process.
That was a good engine for Joe Pirro in pastime,
Right.
because he kind of started doing that live screen video stuff, and now he does that professionally across the country
Yes. Yeah.
for tens of thousands of people. He runs Smash Brother tournaments that have international money players, and it's he got that starting by being able to, again, play in the engine that it came from, and without consequence, and just trying things out with the technology to do it. And that's part of the Proctors thing too, which is trying stuff out.
Certainly was.
Yeah.
Do we want to introduce some of the other members of our group?
I think we should.
Sure. Why don't we take a little break and maybe show some of the ads and some art that we've
great.
shown over the years, and then
And
we'll
what's
I'm gonna
showable
back.
from Film
I
Circus?
will mysteriously disappear now because I closed my agency and they kicked me out of it. I just stopped hanging out here.
It was very luxurious when we used to meet at his office. Remember that? 'Cause
Oh,
we used
yeah.
to get out of Proctors and go to Larry's office, which was awesome. Which was like a field trip every day.
Yes,
Like, everyone was all there early. Like
It was
great.
It was a beautiful office, and we had a conference room that
Yep.
3 or 4 different companies were in my office space. It was kind of like an incubator.
We shared space.
And but we all shared the same conference room, and every time we met there, at some point, one of the people would come up and say, "Could you please close the door. They say, these guys are using language that we just don't use.
And scene.
Okay, well, let's take a
So
little
be in the
break.
crowd.
And thank you so far for all the good information. And we'll see you all in a few minutes.
Hey, Schenectady. It's good to see you. This is Tiger Mafia, Uganda. We are attacking Wakariwood. Captures the region. Schenectady, Small Benny. There is one thing that can stop Tiger Mafia from attacking you. Bring me the head of Paul Kazi. We are serious, man. Tiger Mafia is coming for you. Your eggs will be beaten. The Proctors will need doctors. And General Electric, you think you're good, Commander? You wait to see Tiger Mafia.
Glasses one swan. Barurejo.
We are coming for you.
081 over. Muno tumfanye. Hatumnyombe.
Raymond Film Production. We do the best to stand.
We are crazy. Nothing funny is connected. We know what Paul looks like.
Oh, hi, Danny. Oh, hi, Mark. Oh, hi, Mike. Hi, babe. Oh, hi, Danny. Hi, Doggy. Hi, Colette. You are tearing me apart, Lisa! Thanks a lot. Bye.
Welcome back from our break. We are talking today about It Came from Schenectady, a great program that takes place at Proctors. And we have with us two new people who are working on the program today. So let them introduce themselves, tell us what they do at Proctors, and a little bit about what you do on It Came from Schenectady.
Okay, hi, I am Rob Johnson. I am the media buyer at Proctors. I think the first thing I ever did to help out It Came from Schenectady was a prize runner for a relatively full house where I was just running up and down the stairs with tickets and posters and books and things. But I've also done such fun stuff with ICFS as make a Godzilla Pinata. That one was great. And I think the first film I hosted was the doubleheader of the Bob Hoskins Power Hour of Who Framed Roger Rabbit and Super Mario Brothers.
Rob, I remember that one of the first things we did together on It Came From is when we threw the Christmas show. And we used Ghostbusters and Gremlins,
I remember
which
that
we
one.
always wanted to do, and that sounds like Christmas.
Yeah.
And we built the coolest, weirdest giant Christmas tree in the front of the audience, and all the prizes. We haven't even talked about the prizes yet, which is a lot of it. We decided to wrap all the gifts
Oh yeah, that was fun.
in so that people wouldn't know what they're getting, and we had a code, which was if it's green paper, anyone can have it. It's kid friendly. If it's red paper, only an adult gets this gift.
It was a good code.
It was a
super
good
effective.
code. It still works today. Yeah.
All right, I'm going to pass off here.
My name is Ethan Allman. I'm the account manager for lack of better terms, non-Broadway shows at Proctors. I oversee those campaigns, and I'm one of the newer members of It Came From Schenectady. When I started about 3 years ago, it was right when they were doing the Batman 13-hour festival, and I was just like, I need to be associated with these people. This sounds really cool. So just started showing up to the meetings every week, and I'm still here. You guys haven't kicked me out, so.
And next thing you know, you'll be in charge. No.
And it's been really great. Learning about film from these folks, but also getting to share my favorite movies like Weird Al's UHF or Tenacious D, getting to be parts of events like the Found Footage Festival really have made my time in ICFS just so much fun.
Do you want to talk a little bit about what happens when you go to the shows? You come in and you see the couches.
Sure. There's an experience with people who have been with us for a long time and people who are new. First of all, I think we mathematically worked out that we have about 42 is the number of exact people who come every single time. So if you can pay for something with 42 people, it's a solid booking. Second, the experience is you go to the theater, you may think you're just seeing a movie, you may not. You always know when someone's there for the first time because their eyes, they stop when they enter the theater and their eyes open up kind of wide. They're and they see concessions right there inside the theater. They see couches and sofas. Most of the time they're beanbag chairs. If it's a family-friendly event, we try to do as many, and be clear about it, family-friendly events to do because this is, while It Came From it's fun for adults, it's super fun for kids for the right movie. Beanbag chairs, there's probably music playing and a slideshow or a pre-show film of some sort of cool content. People could be dressed up if it's the right thing. And then the part that we start with is some collection of us, usually me and or Paul and or Ethan or Rob and others. We'll get out, introduce ourselves, we'll tell you about what upcoming events are, and we'll start saying who's never been to It Came From Schenectady before. And some people will raise their hand, and that person gets a prize, gets a t-shirt, gets a book, gets an old VHS tape, gets the attic stuff that Paul and I are getting rid of from our garage. And everyone's appreciative of that stuff, and everyone's a good time, and we say, no, we're just not going to start showing the movie. So there's always usually one person every other show, which is just wanted the movie to start, and they go, and they're not happy, and we refund their money, and okay, fine. You know what, this wasn't for you, and that's great. But then we usually do some pre-film stuff. There's usually a trailers Paul has. Sometimes there's a game or an activity. We've had some really nuts games for people to win stuff. Do you remember any of those?
Peter is great at improvising these things. You really, without you there, it's just a movie. You are the one that really, I think, brings the energy to the room, gets all the contests going and stuff. I applaud you. I've
made it my mission at this point to not think of what we're going to do till we get there. Just because I love my job. My job at Proctors, I've been here for 21 years, is amazing. I get to do things even outside this, which are incredible, which everyone, no person should have the great opportunity to do. But it's a job still, so It Came From becomes your incredible creative outlet for all the 4 to 5 years of theater and acting and improv class that I went to that has to go somewhere. So I enjoy figuring that stuff out.
We showed one of your movies once.
We never did show the movie. We showed the trailer of the movie.
Oh, the trailer.
You can't find that movie, although Zeb has a copy. Zeb does have a copy. We should show it.
You mentioned the concession being right in the theater, and we usually have a themed drink, something named after something significant in the movie or related to the films that we're showing. For the UHF events, we sell Twinkie wiener sandwiches, where it's a Twinkie that you cut, you put a hot dog on, and then you squirt spray cheese on, of course. So where else can you get a nutritious snack like that? But
Now, who
it came from
invented that?
Schenectady. It's something in the movie that they eat in the
okay.
movie. I think the greatest concession thing, and I think you guys would probably agree, is the when we do the cartoon cereal shows.
Right.
This is an idea that we got from an outside producer, and we've kind of made it our own. And what it is an unlimited all-you-can-eat cereal buffet throughout the entire thing. We show Saturday morning cartoons, and it's just there's mix-ins, there's just Crunch Berries, there's just the marshmallows from Lucky Charms, and people are just gorging themselves on cereal the whole time. The kids, get more energy throughout the day as the sugar sinks in. It's a lot of fun.
We usually have one box of a healthy cereal there. And
That's right.
Do you ring a bell or something when that
No,
guy comes in?
Ethan and I bought one box of bran flakes the first time we did a cereal run. And mind you, going to the Walmart or the Hannaford with 3 carts packed with nothing but breakfast cereal and 30 gallons of milk is an experience.
And nobody batted an eye at us. They're just like, yep, it's Thursday.
Right. 17 boxes of peanut butter Captain Crunch, because that's the one people like. And you also learn a lot about what kind of milk people drink. Turns out it's whole or skim. There's really no in between. I'm sorry, I just lost my train of thought, believe it or not. But the cartoon show is
no,
amazing.
we were talking about, so when we always get...
the bran flakes. Bran flakes. We bought one box of
yeah.
bran flakes. That box of bran flakes, we said, okay, everybody, we tell the volunteers, and there's great volunteers who help us with all this stuff. And it's the same ones every time because they know what a great time it is. It's like hesitant at first, now it's like, oh, that's the fun event. We told them, okay, listen, at some point, someone's going to ask for the bran flakes. Because, and although I eat bran flakes, that's not the point of this thing. It's about sugar.
The point is to get the unhealthiest, sugariest cereal possible.
A Saturday morning cartoon experience that we would have had in the 80s or 30s. No, 80s or 70s or 60s or 90s. We're all from different decades, which also makes that show really fun to make because everyone's nostalgia is in a cool, different place, as well as the audience. So we said, someone's going to ask for that, and we want you to stop what you're doing, throw your hands up in the air, and start screaming, adult, adult, adult! And it took a year and a half.
Yeah, the best part was we told them that one time, and like 3 shows later.
A year and a half later, and they start screaming, and we'd forgotten about this. But the volunteers did it, and the guy was just like, I like bran flakes. That's a great show because and that's my favorite kind of event we have, which is the reason I love Godzilla, the reason I love that one, the reason I've tried to, when I'm just picking my own stuff, I want to show things that I can bring my kids to. I've got 3 daughters. There are one graduating from the older one graduating from high school, going into college, going to NYU, and the youngest one, I'm bragging again, and the youngest one is headed into kindergarten, NYU kindergarten. No, Schenectady City Schools. And they've been raised on this stuff, and so I've been, as a dad, able to program the coolest stuff, but I've kind of ruined them for what going to a movie experience is. Amelia will go and she expects that there's going to be singing and dancing and beanbags and cereal and prizes and dad's going to be talking and okay. So there's a little bit different rules when it's at different things, but that's the good stuff because it's parents and adults and people of all ages enjoying the same thing at the same time in the same way, and it's really fun. It's really cool.
Paul, what kind of film do you like to present at this?
I like the more esoteric stuff. It's been mentioned a couple of times here, but I go to a lot of film festivals and look at what's being done and seeing audiences' reactions to films. And if a large audience in Montreal or a large audience in New York City goes crazy for something, I think let's try it in Schenectady. Let's see if Schenectady. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't.
And are these films hard to get?
Not usually. It's all films are just knowing who to call and do you have enough money.
Sounds like life. So
Let me
Rob,
just- let me just say that this, I made a comment before, this doesn't work without Paul. Paul has, I think, like last year you listed your number of films you saw in the theater, and it was like 300 something films or that you saw in theaters. You know, marathons. Paul brings a depth
In 1 year.
In 1 year, Paul brings a depth of curation and knowledge of the world of film that no one else has, and has those relationships and has that knowledge. So. We just booked. One thing we learned after a couple of years from it came from Schenectady is if you want to draw lots of people and keep things going, you have to sort of jump out of what do I want to see into what do I think they want to see. But also with that comes a certain responsibility to curate things that they would never get to see or wouldn't know about. And Paul brings all of that. Without Paul, this thing doesn't hold together because you need that expert. You need John Lennon writing the music, for
Right.
Paul McCartney to be cute. I'm sorry.
so anyone who wants to at Proctors can just jump in to this program?
I mean, if you've got a good idea and you want to host it, you want to be the driving force behind it, we will get behind you. We will rally and do those things that you might not know how to do or might be worried about doing. We'll make sure that happens. And like Catherine Stevens producing the Labyrinth sing-along, that was amazing. We were just like, as soon as she said it, we're like, yes, we're doing this. You're the host. Let's make it work.
Grease 2 sing-along.
Yeah.
Didn't we have someone from like out of town?
We had someone from Virginia, 2 girls from Virginia come to Grease 2 sing-along because they'd always wanted someone to show Grease 2, and it was their favorite movie, and we were the first people to do it.
Yeah, basically, if somebody on staff, or even if they're not on staff, I guess, if they had a big passion for something, we will get behind it and support it. That's always what I've been about. It's like, I guess part of that is self-serving. If I support your thing, hopefully they'll support mine.
So just to be clear, this is in the GE Theater, so it's a small-ish place with the 35-foot by 50-foot screen.
It's got a 4-story screen. We removed some of the seats. It's now become it came from like setup. We take the seats about halfway back and then add couches in the bean bags in the front. So we seat all together. I think there's actually, and it came from Schenectady map in our ticketing system at this point, and I think it's about 250 people all together. And we hit or miss. Sometimes it's packed to the rafters. Sometimes it's not so great. I mean, we've had some things that have just landed with a thud that we thought would be awesome. What comes to mind is the Samuel L. Jackson Super Show featuring Shaft and a live singer. That didn't work. There were 5 people here. And the 4 hosts tried really hard to engage with the 5 people, and it just didn't work out. And that's okay. It was great in our heads. But then we sell out The Room every year, which is the worst film of all time, but it's got a great cult following, and that happens too. So you kind of balance it out.
One thing I want to say about the couches is the regular people who come to It Came From Schenectady, they know to get there early because the couches go fast. Those are the most popular seats in the place. So if you do want to sit in a comfy couch or on a beanbag, you got to get there early and run right in. It's crazy how fast those go.
Terrible to see the screen from.
It is, yeah, it's
terrible seats.
I know, like, how many times I've, like, because we're there early because we're the hosts, I'll put my, like, coat on it. People will move it and sit there. They love those seats.
And then I'll go to the back of the theater and go, oh, now it looks good.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. So how do people find out about this? I mean, where is the source of information?
Facebook primarily. It Came From Schenectady is our Facebook page. And anytime we've got an idea, we throw it up there. We ask people to give us their ideas, tell us what they would like to see. And if enough people want to see something, we'll do it.
And
of course, on proctors.org, we have all the shows listed. People can pre-buy tickets. They can find out upcoming shows. We try and get those up as soon as possible when we book them.
And how often do you have an event?
About monthly. It's just about monthly.
Usually at least, yeah, but sometimes we'll have like 3 in a row. Like some
That's because of Paul.
Yeah, some weeks Paul will be like, yeah, we got to do another one the next night. So, yeah, it's fun though, and it's great the support that we have from the fans. They don't care how many we do; they'll come to all of them. It's really great.
And you start now at what time usually?
7 o'clock.
Now we're at 7 o'clock, right?
So you're not doing the 24 hours anymore, or you do sometimes?
We stopped the. Sorry. We did 4 years in a row of the 24-hour fest. We started with It Came From Schenectady, the original one, and that was September 13th, 2008. So we're in year 9. We're going into the 10th year anniversary next year. Then a year later, we did the Halloween Horrors one, which Rob and I are both wearing the shirts for. This morning I woke up, I had a different It Came From Schenectady shirt on, and my wife said, no, you've got to wear that one because that's her. So she's like, okay, you got it.
She won a screaming
And then she went to
contest
Rob's house
for
and
it.
she won a screaming contest that we auditioned people for and film at Proctor's, along with Yuri, who's on the shirt, who's a famous character actor now. They won a screaming contest to be on that shirt. So there she is, there and on my wall forever. And then she went to Rob's house and told her to put that shirt on. I'm kidding. And then we did the 3rd year, we did Proctoberfest, which is my favorite name we've ever had. And that had the most amazing screening of, at midnight, we had 2001 A Space Odyssey, and that's when we got into really high def film. And that was amazing. And then we had a 4th one, I forget what his name was, it was kind of generically named, the 4th year. And then we found that it's a lot of work and to do 24-hour film festivals, and the kitsch a little bit had worn off, and we might have some more success. And we've been breaking down to almost biannual 13-hour festivals with different themes. 13 is just a cool number. Starts at 11 a.m., goes to midnight. We did Batman for 13 hours, as Ethan said. We did Planet of the Apes for 13 hours. And a couple other, we did Space Beyond the Pines as a parody of Place Beyond the Pines.
Yeah, that was a great sci-fi.
That was a great sci-fi one. And things like that. And those happen biannually usually. And other than that, we hang out in the world of cool double features. But most of the time we do, and we find the most
coolest
success,
double feature was Rob's idea, I believe. Was it your idea?
Yes. No, Rob gets credit for this. Rob, tell them.
Okay, so I had this great idea, but it was a little late to do it. It was a week before Groundhog's Day, and I said we should have shown a double feature of Groundhog's Day with Groundhog's Day. That's what we should have done.
Right, so we showed Groundhog's Day twice on Groundhog's Day in a row. And by the time we got to the second screening of Groundhog's Day, we were all really tired. And most of the audience didn't want to attend the second screening. They just wanted to go home. They liked the idea that they went to it. And so we thought, we're going to get out of this. We're not going to have to show it, except for like 2 guys.
Yeah. The best part, though, was for the people that did stick around, because we had run trivia before it.
We did the exact
we
same.
ran the exact same trivia.
Memorized the
questions.
exact same setup, trivia, mistakes, introductions, hellos, prizes. Yeah.
And the audience even made sure to give the same responses.
Yeah.
It was great.
It was great.
Well, it's good their memory was still good.
A lot of the time, the secret to success, though, is finding one film that people really want to see, and then we add content to it. A short before it, some fun before it, a games before it, a special guest before it. That seems to be the most common formula that seems to pay off.
Does anyone have a little concluding remark to make about any of this, or something you haven't had a chance to say yet? Well,
Not a thing.
Stumped me, Karen.
Said it all.
Well, this has been a very exciting show, and I think for our history series at Proctor's, put on by the History Committee, and we'll mention again, it's June 16th, 2017. This has been a lot of fun, and I hope you agree. We hope you'll watch our series, and this one really shows off the creativity of the staff at Proctor's. A little craziness, but they're really wonderful people, and it's fun to work with them, and it's fun to see what they're going to do next, which is always exciting. So thank you for watching today.